Okie Show. All right, and welcome to the Okie Show, the podcast that dives into the finer details of navigating Oklahoma's film and music industry. I'm sitting across from three guys who are the kings of Oklahoma's locations. They're three location managers, and they're some pretty cool guys. We have Mr. Ty Dickson right here.
Hi, everybody.
We have Mr. S.P. Eaton right here.
Hi there.
And then we have this guy.
You forgot already?
We have Casey Crowdis here.
Howdy.
And you don't really, you do a lot of different things, not just location.
He's the guy behind the guy.
I do a lot of different things.
Such as?
I do a lot of locations, work in production, do coordinating, work in art. I just kind of...
You're a jack of all
Your
trades.
common generic
Whoever's writing the check.
good cop. He's a very good cop.
You were locations, but you were also like production designer on Electric Nostalgia, weren't you?
Yeah.
You were.
Yeah, I was.
Everybody was multiple, except for me. I was the one guy who wasn't like multiple hats.
And what,
You're the one guy that no one wants to wear another hat.
That's
one hat
true.
to wear is the hat you need to wear.
That's true.
I don't want your hat.
You do not want my hat.
I've worn it, but...
That, I guess, yeah, that's true. But introduce yourselves to the audience. What all you guys do, what all you worked on, all that jazz.
Okay, Ty Dickson, as Gilly said. Can I call you?
Heck
Can
yeah.
I say Gilly? We call Brian Gilly on set.
That's my set name.
My name's Ty Dickson. I started in 2002-ish. I started as an extra, and I was given a job, and she said, do you want to do craft services or location managing? I didn't know which either one was, but I figured out craft services was to do with food, and that I wouldn't be any good at that. So I started doing locations because I just wanted to be in the movie business. Since then, like I did that for... Well, I still do it today, but up until maybe 5-6 years later, when SP came into the scene, I moved up to assistant director spot. SP came in as locations, and so now I jump between just to pay the bills, locations. I do assistant directing when I can, and everybody in this room is now starting to stick their toe into the producing pool with a capital P.
Right.
I think we've all done it. We've all done it with we've done it with a small P before, or with an ass in front of us, like ass producers.
Yes.
But now we're like going for the big time.
It's kind of cool, the progression of things that happen. Like everybody has their like main job that they do to pay the bill. There's the pay the bills job, which is our day job, but it's still in production.
It's a jobby job. I mean, we don't have electricity if we're not out in the trenches on set.
Yeah.
But as we, just like I said, the progression as we get to grow, stretch our wings, and from my very first job in locations, I was told that, this was a perfect producer's training ground.
Yeah.
And that
totally.
You have to deal with every department, learn what every department needs, and then how to facilitate those and make sure that you're not saying yes to one department at the expense of another.
Yeah.
Because everyone's requests are the most important requests.
Of course.
To them. So it's a matter of trying to make sure that they can all happen, because the ultimate goal is to make the best movie possible.
Yeah. So what was the progression for you, like getting started in locations, and now I feel like you're starting to become known more as a producer, but you're still like on the bigger shows that come in, like Gosnell and that kind of thing. You were still locations, right?
Well, actually, Ty did locations on Gosnell.
That's right.
Well, he was originally...
I did some scouting before it started off, but then another...
SP ditched us to go UPM another movie.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because you were on Great Plains.
Yeah, and I was the UPM on Great Plains, unit production manager. So my personal progression started. Went to OU, went back to school to OU in the mid '90s, just before and right after my daughter was born, and was in the filmmaking program. Was actually both in the filmmaking program and the film video studies program at OU.
Right.
And it was all black and white back then, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Hand cranks.
He's older than you are.
16 millimeters. Yeah, but we shot on 16 millimeter. It was mostly black and white. We did.
You guys actually shot on film?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And then so after that, my daughter was born. Things got real world for me, and I had to kind of step away. And did. Worked for the next 7 or so years in. I was in the restaurant business back then. I was tending bar, waiting tables.
Yeah.
At lots of different places, and then got into the real world job and was a legal assistant and process server. Did an awful lot of that for about 7 years worth for divorce attorneys.
Right.
And then in between leaving school and industry picking up steam here, a lot of stuff with Graymark, which is, I know where Ty got his start and where his path and my path ultimately intersected.
With Graymark Productions, owned by
Gray Fredrickson.
Gray Fredrickson, yeah.
Oscar-winning Gray Fredrickson.
And John Simonelli, it should be.
That's the
He was the big.
So another friend of ours, Jeff Colbert, who he and I had known each other since Bricktown was just becoming Bricktown. Jeff and I did, and he'd said, I've been working on some movies. I think I've got a chance to really get you on the crew coming up on this movie. It was called Ivory, and so was
you should have hugged that mic.
kind of a crapshoot in that I wasn't originally hired to be the location manager. I was happy to get any job, available, and originally they were going to have me be a second.
Oh, okay.
And then about 2.5, 3 weeks before Ivory was supposed to start shooting, I get a phone call from Jeff who says, well, I've got good news and bad news. And I'd already made arrangements with my job to take a leave of absence to go shoot Ivory. He says, well, the bad news is the director is bringing a friend that he wants to be second. And I was like, oh, man.
Yeah, and that's the second assistant director to the, or it's like the second. It's this. What is it? It's the second assistant to the second assistant.
Depending on where you're from, Austin or LA or whatever, but it's basically the third level down.
What they call the third assistant director, actually.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and they're basically responsible for
They're peon.
Getting talent from base camp to set, and helping to facilitate the second AD do their job. So that's what I was hired to do, and then I get this call says, well, sorry, that job's gone away. I go, okay, well, you said something about good news. He goes, yeah, well, we still need a location manager. And I was like, okay, great. Well,
so your introduction into location managing was purely random.
It was very random, and it was definitely baptism by fire.
Yeah.
And the other part of his good news, bad news was, and we needed you to start 2 weeks ago.
Oh, man. I feel like that's the randomness of everything.
That's where he dropped into my lap, because up until that point, I'd been doing locations, and Ivory was my first gig as assistant director. And so
cool.
We were sitting there going, okay, I don't have time to do this, who's going to do this? And that's how SP and I met, basically, was.
And that was our introduction, and he, as best he could, because, he was busy prepping as an AD, making sure the schedule worked out.
Yeah.
And they had already done quite a bit of scouting, and it was a matter of going in. And so the background working in the law offices, even though we weren't a contract law office, we did do an awful lot of negotiations with the other side. And so it gave me a pretty good predicate, and plus all the other stuff that I had done in the restaurant business, which, you never expect.
Yeah,
that's going to be a huge, benefit. But, there's a lot of sales. There's office.
It's amazing how the original, it's kind of funny because I feel like waiting tables, that's the real entry-level job for film sets. That's the original day job.
Yeah.
But people think that's like a crappy thing, or it's like, I'm just a loser working at a restaurant.
I don't necessarily trust somebody that's never waited tables in their life.
Right? Yeah.
They certainly, anyone who has already starts at least a half step ahead of anyone who hasn't.
Yeah.
Only because there's a shared experience. Plus, that person, especially if they did it for more than 6 months, knows how to think on their feet. Knows
how to multitask.
Knows how to multitask. Knows that there's the importance of interpersonal communication and being able to get your point across in the quickest and shortest amount of time.
Yeah.
And in the clearest fashion. And so, all those skills that I had no idea were going to come into play, served me really well.
Yeah.
Because it was a baptism by fire, and it was more along the lines, and I think Casey had a similar experience when he first started, because he was thrown in.
I hate Casey's story. It pisses me off so bad.
Which is?
I
He's
didn't
a
know
right son of a bitch.
I should have been scared to death as it was. I was so happy to have a job on a movie set.
Right.
So I was just thrown in, didn't know any better to be freaked out.
Right.
And looking back
sometimes the ignorance is bliss is kind of a good thing.
Back now, ignorance was certainly bliss, because when I look back now at what went through, and I had a lot of people complimenting, man, you've really done a great job. This is fan. I was like, all I'm trying to do is just keep up and make sure that no one's giving me the hairy eyeball when it's time to start the day. And so I, didn't know any better to not know any better. I mean,
Right.
it was definitely one of those.
Sometimes that's an asset. Sometimes it's not such a great thing, but sometimes it can be an
Ignorance
asset.
was bliss. And if I had had any real idea, because I've given talks to, groups here and there, and usually one of the first lines I just ask everyone there, especially if they're film students, is raise your hand, and if everyone that remembers that semester or two that we all spent going over locations in film school. And
Right.
there's usually some nervous laughter because everyone's like, wait, did I not go to the right school?
Right.
Did I miss that?
Well, before we go any further,
no one ever gets that part of the education.
right? Yeah. Well, that's why we have podcasts like this, so we can
Right.
talk about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, but Casey got thrown into the middle of the pond.
Yeah, let's hear Mr. Mr.
Yeah, what's
Mann's
your
son of a
story?
bitch's
What's your-
story?
Well, and you'll see a theme with location managers. I haven't met anyone yet that's like, oh yeah, I went to school, I wanted to be a location manager. It doesn't happen. You always get drug into it or you fall into it.
Mm-hmm.
I have an art background, which is that's why I wanted to get in film, because I love movies, and I thought, well, I can be a part of creating the look of it. So
Yeah.
I just thought,
Is that what your degree is in?
Yeah,
Is it in art?
Yeah, sculpture is what I did back then, and
Mine as well, actually.
yeah.
Graphic design and advertising. Yeah,
You guys have got
And so
degrees.
that's why we're so awesome at making maps.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So that's kind of what got us into it. We love the creative side of it, and so I thought, well, I'm just going to get into it. I got to figure. I'll run coffee. I'll do whatever for somebody. So I went and I interviewed for Heaven's Rain. What was that? Like 2008, 2009, something like that.
Yeah, someone around there.
Yeah.
And talked with the producer, and he's like, well, okay, well, we want to hire you, but how would you like to do locations? I was just going to go be a PA. And I said, yeah, sure. What do I need to do? I had no clue what it was. My first time ever on a film set, I didn't know anything about film. And so, yeah, just kind of got thrown in. Now, the line producer there was Peyton Dunham. So I kind of had a guardian angel hanging over me the whole time. That was the
Peyton.
big trick to my success.
Sorry to interrupt. Peyton played a special role in all three of our early.
Oh, really?
careers.
Yeah.
So who is Peyton?
Let me start first.
Sure.
Okay, so way back in the day, again in Graymark, he came in to the fold as the Peyton's always out and about. Like, he doesn't work in Oklahoma film. He's an Oklahoman that works in film, so he's always out working. And when I met him, he actually was coming on as a UPM on I don't even remember the movie. It was a horror movie, but he came in as a UPM, so he wasn't necessarily training me as locations, but he was kind of giving me hints because it was still very early in the stage. To be honest, I never got to train under anybody. I've grown up in a vacuum. I never have worked under a location manager to see how locations was done. I just started off as a department head, so I had to make it up as I go along, which I just kind of took it as, well, I want to be a producer, I want to be this, so if this was my movie, how would I do it? And it logically just played out. But Peyton came in as UPM and gave me a lot of instruction and a lot of help, but he had his own job to give. And then further down the line, SP and he are really tight. I love Peyton. We're really tight too, but Peyton's more like a mentor because you guys actually got to be in the trenches as locations.
Right, exactly. I worked with him after I first met him.
Well, and what's nice about the way Peyton works is I always imagine him as my little fairy godmother. Like, right when I would get to a point where I would think I was going to get stuck on something, he'd just pop up and say, hey, can you do this? And it would be exactly what I needed at that time.
He's
He's
bad plot device.
Yeah.
He really is.
When the hero's getting ready to get caught.
So, I mean, I looked like I did a great job the whole time, but it was really because every time I was about to get bogged down or
good
stuck,
insurance.
he was right there.
Yeah,
He just
that's
somehow, like, he could see it. And so I was able to learn from that without kind of going through a lot of the failure stage.
Right.
It was rough, and I got better as the show went on, but that was huge.
And then tell him about your second gig, asshole.
I was gonna say, because that's a really easy beginning, like just going for an interview and then
Right. Well, let's see. It was bringing
Lucky.
up Bobby, wasn't it?
Oh, I thought, when did Malik come into play?
Oh,
that was after
okay.
that.
So
I thought you were just like, hey, I want to be in the movie business, so I'm going to go work on a Terrence Malick movie. And I'm over the sitting going, you
Yes.
son of a bitch, who's this guy?
but
Didn't that happen?
Well,
But my
and
true-
actually-
timeline's all screwed up. And for those at home, we've got these movies that I don't remember. I don't remember.
all
yet
runs
runs.
they
one
blend
movie
together
now.
after a
I have to
while.
rewind and go.
And
But,
here's another thing, especially about
wait.
locations. The sleep deprivation is insane. So
Oh my
Yes.
our brains are fried. we can't remember things anymore because we live off
You guys are working
36-hour
like-
cycles.
Jeez.
So pick up back. Sorry.
Well,
Casey.
before we actually go any further, I want you guys to kind of explain what exactly a location manager is.
Well,
just
okay.
to clarify for the perfect layman who's just like, I don't know
So the
what they're
thing-
talking
that's
about.
fair.
The
Because
thing that I always say, I say this to everybody, that I feel like half my job is telling people what my job is, the other half is telling people where not to park. And so, yeah, so this
I
is
say
every
we're
day.
half politician, half janitor. That's
Right.
pretty much. But honestly, we're a glorified event planner, a party host, basically.
Yeah.
The
Concierge at a hotel.
Yeah.
I mean,
You guys are the true kings of the set.
Someone's
but
got to have the answer no matter
They're
what the
seriously,
question is.
you know, we've been working with people on set in the trenches for 10 years, and they have no idea what we do. It's so multifaceted.
Because you're elusive. You're not really on set necessarily. You're kind of like
so much
floating.
is behind the scenes.
And that's
Literally
important to distinguish the difference between a locations department and a location manager. Because the fault, a lot of movies we work on, they don't have a high enough budget or they don't plan. So our department is 1 or 2 people. It really should be 4 to 5 people. It has to be, because a movie operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Even if you're working 5 days a week filming, that's almost worse than
That's
6
during
days a
actual
week, because now
production.
you got trucks sitting there for 2 days somewhere. You've got a security guard. You got people wondering what's going on. And so a location manager is in charge of making sure what I call the bubble, what is on set, the people making the movie that need it quiet, and aliens could be taking over in the outside world, but they're concentrating on the movie.
Yeah.
It's your job to make sure the bubble can operate at 100% efficiency throughout the 12 to 14 hours that they have to film. And anything they need, it's your job to make sure. It's your job to make sure it's quiet. It's your job to make sure there's no dogs around. It's your job to make sure there's no drunks walking up the set asking what's going on. It's your job to make sure that the mayor's not pissed off at you. It's your job to make sure that the cops are there to help you and not shut you down. Meanwhile, the manager is in charge of prepping. People don't think about this. On a movie, you can almost make a movie. Hey, our camera broke. Okay, well, let's get another camera. Let's get an iPhone, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
Hey, the actor's sick today. Okay, well, let's not do that scene. Let's get another scene, or let's get some sock puppets. If you don't have a location to film, it may be your grandma's living room or something. But if you don't have a physical place that is set in the physical realm of time and space, you have nowhere to film.
Right.
You can't do it, even if you say so.
I've joked for years that if I don't come to work, nobody else gets to work.
Yeah.
And so it's multifaceted in the sense that, yes, you're prepping the bubble and you have to make sure the bubble is running efficiently for that day, but you're also prepping 2 weeks ahead of time, where even the director or the AD may not know what's going to happen. But you see where the scene is setting, and you know it's going to require cops, and you know by reading the scene that they're going to want to be out in the street. Well, you don't just get to go do that because you're movie people and you want to do that. The city wants to know what you're doing. So even if the movie doesn't know what they're doing 2 weeks ahead of time, you have to let the city know. So you're working in the present, you're working in the future, and then you're also working in the past. You're cleaning up the places you've already been. You're making sure that bills were paid and everybody's being treated properly. So the locations department, and the manager, but is in a constant state of what's happening in the present, what's happening in the future, and what's happening in the past.
Right. And also maintaining the relationships with the locations.
And that's another
that's
thing.
the big kicker,
That is our business. We're salesmen, but we don't have a product. Lots of times people say, well, we need this, we need this. You literally hit the streets and you literally start knocking on people's doors and asking if you can come to their house and take pictures. It's awkward.
Is it often it's like
and
perfect
basically the
strangers,
product,
too.
Cold calls,
I always say,
Yeah.
you're in the scouting process, in the development process, you're a scout. You're different. You're not managing yet. You need to have certain things in mind when you're scouting of, yes, this is great for the movie, but where am I going to park all these effing trucks?
Yeah.
And where are 200 people going to poop after they've had greasy, bad catering that day? And so you're constantly balancing all these other things to make it, but your business is these people. So in the way we work, we don't have like a Clint Eastwood or Woody Allen or even Graymark anymore, where you're working for the same producer. Chances are you're going to see that producer again. He's going to keep you working. It's the opposite for us. It's these locations I need to film at, and I want to film at. These are beautiful. They're cool people. Oklahoma is great. This movie that I'm never going to see again, this producer that I may never see again, unfortunately can't be the priority. It's an equal, they're my boss. They've hired me to do the job, and I respect that. But at the same time, there's a constant, okay, well, let's make sure that we take care of these. Whereas like people we work with, they're from LA. They're like, I haven't filmed in LA in 10 years.
I've always felt
you know
like
why? Because you've been running out, stopping traffic. Yeah, you've been screwing over.
The circus stays here, but the bosses come. They're the ones who are traveling.
The new people come in. You know, the top management, the producers, the top 2 or 3 actors, and the DP and usually an AD or something like that. They all come in, and that's another one of those things where like, you know what?
So how often have you had to deal with
the new people?
Like we don't know you guys. Like how often have you had to deal with producers who like don't really care?
More times
Way
than
more
any of
than
us
we
have ever
want,
wanted to. And we've got, building on what Ty was saying, is that we have the unique locations has a unique position of having one foot with the crew and the other foot with the public.
Because you have to face the people again.
We have to advocate for both, even if we're shooting in Bowlegs, and we don't expect to ever come back to Bowlegs.
Is that a town?
It is. Yeah,
we have a town called Bowlegs.
Southeast part of the state. I've scouted Bowlegs, and I've scouted
both literally and figuratively.
Broken Arrow. I mean, all these places that are much further away than just central Oklahoma, or from Tulsa or from Lawton or any of the other hubs. But what you've got to do, even if I never expect to go shoot in Broken Bow again or in Cordell, I've got to be able to go back there.
Yeah, because you don't know what the future holds.
You never know what next project is going to come in, or if you may just need it for a quick project or for a big project, but you need to be able to leave them to in a state of happiness and not just contentment, but happy. If anything does break, God forbid, which it does, even though these are professional crews that come in.
What do you do in that situation? Like, because that's actually one of my questions I have written down. Is like if something breaks on set. Like I remember we were shooting Toyota, and we were in this historical building, and one of the fixtures broke. And you looked pissed.
Wait, which was this one of 7 that exist in the world fixtures? And now there are only 6?
I don't.
Or was that a different fixture? Just a different story.
Was this a lamp? I think this might be a different.
It was like a cabinet or something like that. Like a door fell off, or
I think we probably put it out of our minds for a reason.
No, I do. I know exactly. That was down. That was on. It was a very historic location cabinet.
Okay, can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
This comes into the theory of movies in general versus being a location manager versus my personal thing of Oklahoma film and us trying to build an industry. We're in this pupa stage right now.
Right.
Of trying to do Oklahoma film. So as far as locations go, the thought of like doing a one-off where we burn a location, that is the exact, it's not even a thought process for me. Right. This is, we are when somebody becomes a location, they are part of our crew. They are part of our family. It's not us versus them or anything like that. Because ideally, I make it so beneficial for them that they won't mind doing it again, or they actually look forward to doing it again.
So or sometimes even work on the crew, like in the Masonic Temple.
Well, and that's the thing. As far as breaking things and things like that, first and foremost, you do everything not to do that. When you come into people, and we tell them, ideally you'll never know we were here, and that is not lip service. That's what we try and accomplish. But when something is broken, you fix it. And people say, ask what is it? Ask
the people.
Ask forgiveness, not permission. No.
Yeah.
Don't ever say that.
Don't say that to a location manager.
Don't ever say that within earshot.
Not in front of our face. What we say, or at least what I say
that before.
Is ask permission, pay for forgiveness. That's what we do. And so if there's minor things or major things like physical things that are broken, we replace it. I bring in a professional, like a woodworker or a concrete guy or whatever. We fix it and we put it back better than normal. Now, this quandary that we're starting to encapsulate here in Oklahoma is, hey, we want to do this movie and we don't have enough money to do it, but we want to do a period piece, and so we need to have these historically accurate things. And the prop department, the art department's going, well, you gave me 32 cents, so I'm going to go to this museum and borrow this prop. And since you guys don't know what the movie's about yet, and you don't have a shot list or anything, we don't know what we're going to use this prop for, but you have to have it. And so now we've got these priceless historical artifacts in play.
Right.
That, who cares what the stupid movie we're never going to see of a vampire using this artifact?
I feel like sometimes the mentality with above the liners that come here, and it's kind of the same thing of like, if you don't have the money to tip, you don't have the money to go to a restaurant.
Exactly. Precisely.
That's a nice
If
way
you
to
don't have the money to fix the stuff that you break, you don't have the money to make this
But at
movie.
the same time, I mean, what it really costs is caring, you know, and it doesn't matter if it's a multi-million-dollar film or a student film or a quote-unquote guerrilla film, because it doesn't cost anything to ask permission.
Right.
It may cost a little bit for a permit. It may cost a little bit in time, in terms of time and preparation. But you know, if you're just one of these people who considers himself a filmmaker, but in fact is more of a hobbyist because you're walking, you've always got a camera with you. You've got to get, you've just seen the most beautiful sunset, and you've got to shoot a scene by the side of the road. If you've only got two nickels drubbed together, and that's what you are trying to get your buddies together to do and shoot something, as a producer, you're going to need to do the same job as a location manager, because you wouldn't say,
yeah, there's always a location manager. Just because you're not, you have to film on a location. So somebody in your team
someone's
is doing
playing
location.
that role, whether that's their title or not. Someone is doing that. So where it comes, and one of the things that we have had to, when Ty said that we're, you know, working in the future, the present, or the past, sometimes working in the past means that we're cleaning up after someone who'd shot in a place 5 years before. Because we've knocked on businesses and homeowners, and not knowing that anyone had ever shot there before. Mm-hmm. And then part of our introduction to these people is we find out, oh, well, X shot here 5 years ago, and they didn't do X, Y, or Z, and left without paying this or fixing this and stuff like that. And so that, you know, we start uphill, we start.
So
behind.
you have to heal the relationship.
Right, you got to heal the relationship if it's even, you know, even if it's even fixable. Because there's been several times, not many, but a few times when they just go absolutely not.
Yeah.
You know, so
that is the nice thing about Oklahoma. We haven't burned all the bridges like they have in LA.
Yeah.
There's a lot of productions try.
Every time someone pulls a guerrilla stunt out there, someone else has to pay for it. Another production winds up paying for it. Whether it's, I'm just going to sweep this under the rug, literally in some cases, and hopefully no one will find out that we just broke this lamp, or any other insert calamity here. You may think you get away with it.
Right.
But we as an industry itself, you know, another production is going to pay for it down the road.
Right. Right. So it's not just inconsiderate for the owners of the location itself; it's inconsiderate for your fellow filmmakers.
Exactly.
You're screwing over everybody.
You might want to shoot in the same place for the same reasons you do. When it comes down to, you know, the original question is, you know, describe what we do. You know, in the bare sense, I mean, these are some of the not smaller, but some of the more refined or nuanced stuff. You know, the first time you get a phone call and just like they're saying, hey, can we shoot Philadelphia and Oklahoma City?
Can we make China? Can we do China?
Oh yeah, we've done.
Yeah, here, you know.
We did Brazil.
1920s New York. We've done it all.
Yeah, 1920s. You know, and that's one of the great things about Oklahoma, and you know, is that we do have such a varied topography, and we can do so much just within our state. The only thing we can't do are grand, majestic mountaintops, and long stretches
but they
of seashore.
do sky replacement. We have nice open blue sky for sky replacement. You guys see the mountains in the trailer for Monday at 11:01 a.m.
Yes.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, the giant mountains. It's gonna be such a train wreck of a movie. But so we're talking about scouting and like actual shooting. Can you guys walk the audience through the process of your jobs, because your jobs start way before even pre-production
months
starts.
Before.
Yeah. And usually by the time, you know, the rest of the crew gets together for the production meeting, for load-ins, and definitely by day one, we've already been on the job for as long as we're probably going to shoot. So our job's about halfway done by the time day one of 20.
You guys are the iceberg. Under the water.
You know, especially for below the line, we definitely represent a big chunk of that below the line iceberg, in as much as that the first call you get, whether it's, you know, they've even decided to shoot here. Sometimes it starts even before they've even committed. You do an initial scout, you know, and they send you either a treatment or sometimes just a few pages or just a location breakdown. It's always different depending on the producer and the project. And they'll say, you know, we're looking to do downtown Philadelphia, present day, or we're looking for 1920s New York, or we've got a film that is set completely in
on the Martian landscape,
Guatemala and China, and we want to film it here in Oklahoma. Okay, yeah, we can do it. So it just takes a matter of knowing the state, and I mean, like I said, we can do the Pacific Northwest in the eastern and northeastern part of the state. You know, we've got Little Sahara. We're not going to be doing Lawrence of Arabia, but we do have sand dunes. We've got our own rocky mountainous terrains as far as the Gloss Mountains and down in Quartz Mountains. Sorry, yeah, there we go.
And there's Comanches too in the east.
Right, Comanches. So we've got quite a few other options for those kinds of things. Comanche Mountains, that I was just reminding us of. And so, you know, so knowing where to look for sometimes, you know, requests that might seem off the bat when someone goes, can we do that here? Or unless you can do this here, no, actually we can.
Yeah.
You know, and then you can tell them, you know, especially with as classic and old school as our downtowns, our small town main streets tend to be and stuff. We can do a lot of period pieces.
So how long does the scouting process usually take?
As long as they have the money for it.
Here's
Because
the
you are
formula,
getting
guys.
paid for all
if you're
that, right?
if you're out there thinking and or producing a movie, or God forbid you're a big time producer listening to us thinking about filming in Oklahoma, the formula. This is just a basic general formula. What I've found throughout the years: 6 weeks. 6 weeks. There's been so many times where like this coup de grace, this holy grail of a. I need this. It's got to be this. It's got to be facing west. It's got to be made out of wood and blah, blah, blah. And so you're hunting for the specific thing.
Right.
No matter how, whether the movie's given us 2 weeks and we find this thing 4 weeks on the last day of filming, at 6 weeks, I don't know how it works, but every time, right at 6 weeks, it's like, that's where we should have been filming right there.
But then your clothes are ragged.
And this is the thing that the three of us in this room and like Allison Navy, the people, you know, kind of the quote unquote legit location people that have been doing this for a long time, where we have a leg up is it is our job. So as opposed to in the olden days when somebody goes, I need this, this, or this, it's like, oh crap, I got to get on Facebook, I got to get in my car, I'll Google Earth. Whereas us guys now anymore, it's like, oh, let's go call homeboy. Let's go back to so and so. And so much for me, and people make fun of me all the time. They're like, oh, we're going back to this place. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, I'm sick of it too. I just show this thing to people, and they're like, holy crap, we're filming here. And so even though I'm lost in the monotony of it, these are still special places to people that are highly congruent to film in. So commercials will come in, hey kid, we want to pay, we're going to film next Saturday. It's Monday afternoon. We're going to film Saturday. And this is literal. This isn't a commercial, this is a music video. It's Monday, and this weekend we want to film a prison rodeo. 5 days.
Yeah.
5 days.
You're talking about the Kings of Leon music video.
We wanted to film in McAllister prison, but we probably needed to talk to them about 6 months ago. So here I go, 5 days, and I'm just jogging in my brain going, where have I been? Obviously, there's no prison rodeo set up. Yeah. Where have I been? What do I know? Lazy Arena. There's a bar in Stillwater. There's this, and this. If I get art department and we start doing this, and in 5 days, we took tumbleweeds in Stillwater. I had to convince production. We got to drive a little bit. We may have to put people in the hotels, but this is what we're doing. And art department came in, and seriously, in 52 nonstop hours, they put up an acre and a half of 12-foot fence. I found, because I had done other westerns, I knew rodeo people, so we built the arena. We brought in bulls, and we built this. But my experience is what enabled that.
Yeah.
If I had just been cold calling, that never would have come into play.
Yeah. So you guys are doing, like, it's not just driving aimlessly around and networking. There's a lot of research that goes into it.
There's a lot of research to help make the best use of your time. And sometimes it is luck, you know.
Sometimes you just got to get lost on purpose.
Yeah.
When I've ever had a chance to train a PA or have someone else besides these two to work with, and they go, well, I need you to go find a farmhouse that looks like this.
Yeah.
And the silo needs to be on the south side because we want to see it, the sun coming over, the blah, blah, blah. And then they go, well, how am I going to find that? And just exactly what Ty said, I go get lost.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Just go start looking. I mean, obviously,
I'll turn on the ESP. It's like, okay, I'm at a stop sign. Right or left? Right or left? Let's go left.
Yeah.
And you just wait and say, okay, which way is the dust going? Okay, I'll follow that. And then you just kind of go see, and then if you've got your GPS on so that you know when you do realize, holy cow, that could be exactly what I'm looking for. You make little notes. I kept a voice recorder at some point. I don't use that anymore because that was just as distracting as trying to write on my pant leg or on the inside of my hand.
Yeah.
But you just pull over and you make your notes.
Yeah.
But there's every job is a little bit different. Every day is different, and each job has its own set of challenges.
Yeah,
that's the fun of working on a film set.
That's where the creativity comes in, that people don't realize how much creativity goes into location.
We get handed a stack of paper, a stack of white paper with some black marks on it, and then we've got to find the visual representation of those marks.
Right.
They go, okay,
and
we
then,
want to shoot in a house. Okay, what kind of house? A big house, a small house? A big house, okay. Is it a 2-story house? Is it a frame house? Is it a brick house? Is it an adobe house? Well, a frame house. Okay, so, 2 stories, do we have a porch? I mean, all these different things. And so you get them as many options as possible. And sometimes they go, I don't know, impress me.
Oh, God.
You go, okay, great, yeah.
And then once
that's
you
my
have
favorite
impressed
That's
them,
my favorite kind of direction.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to show them options to see what direction they're thinking, because they don't know exactly how to describe what they have in their mind.
Sometimes it does take showing them a director the same place but just driving up to it a different way,
different time of day, or whatever,
all kinds of stuff. And then those are the logistics of just getting what they want to capture on film. The logistics, the sexy part of locations. I touched on earlier is where are you going to park? Where are you going to eat? Where are the extras going to sit?
Where do the crappers go?
Trash away?
Yeah.
Where do the trash cans go? Where's everyone? Where's base camp going to be? All these things that you go, people that always think they can do your job because I'd love to do your job because I know where all these really pretty houses are. That's great. But that's
Good
also
for
kind of like knucklehead location scouting is that anyone can drive down the road and see, hey, that's a pretty house. Really? Yeah, that is a pretty house. But then does that pretty house have a place that the whole crew can park?
Right.
Someplace close that maybe they can have lunch where we can park trucks. So
logistics is huge.
Anyone can tell you what a pretty building is, or this would be great. Doesn't mean that it's a good place to film.
Yeah.
Right.
Or how can you make that place a place to film?
And that's part of what makes locations good training for being a producer as well, is because you're having to think about so many different facets, not just needs of the crew, but like you're saying, you have to think about logistics. You have to build, maintain, and have these lasting relationships. It's so many factors.
It is the perfect training ground. I feel like there's certain below the line positions that are perfect for the bigger positions.
It's like being a catcher. How many catchers become managers in baseball? Good manager.
Yeah.
And why? What's the difference between a catcher and the rest of the players on a baseball field?
He's seeing it
everybody.
all.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's looking at everybody else in the field except for him. And so he gets to see what to do. And locations has that same thing in common, is that we see everything. We have to see everything.
Right.
We're there. We're there from the beginning. When it's just a director and a producer, they're calling locations in. So you have no input. You don't get to be creative or anything. But you're there as a fly on the wall in all these meetings from the first second. And it's not all about locations. It's a melting pot of things. So you'll hear problems about casting, or you'll hear a problem because the AD is like, well, this house is perfect, it's a great location, but so-and-so has to go to Comic-Con this weekend, so we can't film at this house, or something like that. So you're privy, or, hey, we found this vacant building, and the production designer says he can make it be what we need it to be. I found you 4 walls and a floor, but we're going to make it into what we need it to be.
But he can't get it ready until X date. Well, that's the same, because that scene where actor X can't be here until X, or has to leave. We lose them before they can ever.
So you're learning all these complex.
To do with just
you guys are.
House.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I see you guys and the stuff that you're doing, and it's almost like you're herding cats in a way.
Oh, absolutely.
Like almost equally as much as the producers are.
Oh, gosh.
But I'm curious as to if you were going to speak directly to the crew base as a whole, what are some things that you would like for the general crew to consider while being on a set?
I've been location manager for a long, long time. Then I switched over to AD, and I see all these perspectives. And I've even caught myself as an AD. I did something on a short film where it's like I did it, and I turned around like, holy crap! If I was location manager, I would be kicking my ass right now.
Yeah.
I was doing locations on that.
Here's the thing that I just want to people in general, or even our homies that we've been working with forever. If you wouldn't do it to yourself, even if you do sit at home and you smoke cigarettes in your living room and throw them on your floor, fine, you do that at home.
First of all,
these, we are trying to, going back, we're trying to build an industry. We're fighting battles. We're trying to get tax rebates. We're trying to get the state to give us tax rebates and things like that. I mean, they have. We want to keep them. And so understand that these people we want to go there again, and they are our family. They are part of our crew.
Yeah.
They are providing a house or a truck or a farm the way you're providing a camera or something like that. So treat them with respect. Live by the golden rule. So many people's like, there's no way I'd let you film at my house. Are you kidding me? Having a movie film at your house as a location? I'm like, that's the wrong attitude.
Yeah.
Because you should allow people to film at your house. But the reason you don't want that is because deep down, you're a jackass. And you're going to throw your Coke can in somebody's bush, and you're going to throw your cigarette butts around and stuff like that. So my thing is, stay with your job, but understand that this is a process. And specifically, you mentioned something that reminded me earlier. All these producers that come into town, we have a boss. We're mercenaries. We're hired guns. We have a different boss every time.
Yeah.
Ronan.
These people are our clients.
Ronans.
Yeah. I'll take that. These people are our clients. And these people are representational of Oklahomans and who we are. And so treat them accordingly, because they are helping us be who we want to be and have an industry that we want to be. So always be considerate that nobody knows who you are. Nobody knows who you are, Gilly, as the boom op. Nobody knows who the director is half the time. And unless it's William H. Macy or something, nobody knows who the producers are. Who they know is me and SP and Casey, that guy that came to them, looked them eye in the eye and said, I represent this movie. Let me bring 150 of my jackass friends to your house and tear it up. And they have confidence in us and they believe in us. They don't know who the producers are. They won't know who the producers are. We are the figurehead. We are the public figure. Unfortunately, I don't want it to be that way, but that's what people know. So when, as a crew member, or my friends who are my good friends are doing something to hurt me, I would appreciate it if they would stop doing that. I mean, I'm gonna park you as close to set as I can get you. I promise.
Right.
So if I'm asking you to park in a certain spot, it's because I need you to park there and things like that. That's
you can only play so much God.
Right.
Follow signs. Read the damn map.
And if you'll notice,
don't call me because you're lost and you didn't look at the map.
And I promise you, there's somebody sitting out there, possibly, well, not now because I've been told we're not live, but at some point, somebody may be listening to this going, that son of a bitch hates me. He's parked me out by 5 blocks away. You're right. I was so pissed off at you, I parked your ass as far away as I could.
Yes. Casey would advise.
Exactly who we're talking to.
Well, yeah, and just to kind of echo, I mean, we're very like-minded on this, and it's really about respect. It's, and for us, we have such a personal connection with these people who, they aren't in the business. And that's something that filmmakers and people that work in the industry have to understand. These people aren't in the industry. They don't get it. For most of them, this is the first time they've ever seen a film set, and they're just in awe of what's going on. Right. They see 80 people running around, trucks full of equipment, all this insanity happening in their home or in their business or whatever it is. And for some of them, it's really scary. I mean, it's,
I can imagine.
because you can
be like,
try.
I just wanted to have a small party, but it turned into a kegger.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And, there have been so many times where we've been at a place and you try and prepare them as best you can to say, this is going to be big, just so you know, we're going to take care of you. But what they have in their mind, I mean, they might see a behind the scenes thing, or they have a certain vision of it. It's always bigger than they think it is. Yeah. And so you have to understand, you're coming into their world.
Yeah.
Right. This is not your world. This is not your playground. These are not your toys. This is their life that you're invading. And so you have to have respect for that, and to just understand that, they're new to this, and how would you feel if this was happening to you? Yeah. And, so, and I always say, I think that everybody that works in film needs to spend at least one project in locations, because you get that perspective. You start seeing
1,000%.
how much of an impact you have on real world people. Yeah. And, when you come, you're focused on your job, you're doing your job, you got to get it done. The DP's yelling at the AC to do this, or all these guys have their little jobs that they have to do, and that's really important to get it done. But just always keep in mind where you are is somebody who's not in the business, and we want to make it special for them.
Yeah.
in whatever way
And
we
not
can.
a terrible
and that's
experience.
it's movie
I want to say
magic.
two
We wanna
quick
keep
things
that.
before SP goes because I'll
Yeah.
forget because my brain. Stop throwing cups with liquid in them in the trash
Oh
can.
my
I
gosh.
promise you, within 20 feet, you can dump your ice out or
Yeah.
throw your liquid into the grass
like
or
there's-
something, then throw your cup away. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Juicy sacks.
Or, like,
Give me a break.
I've seen a couple of times where there's like trash next to the trash can.
Yes, and that's the other thing. It's like, hey, I realize our job is shit. So, yes, I'll come dump your trash, but give me a heads up. Hey, Ty, hey, ass face, come over here and dump this trash
Yeah.
can. I need to throw my shit away.
Yeah.
And courtesy flush. Come on, folks. Seriously, man.
Oh, what was that?
Especially girls.
Don't drop a
Girls,
deuce
you are
right
filthy
next to
animals
set.
in the bathroom. I'm so sick of noodling for corn-eyed trout, so the carpet doesn't get wet.
Oh gosh.
Wow.
Okay, go ahead, SP.
Go ahead. On that note,
There's, and when you're, as long as we're talking about trash, if you're gonna throw something away in a trash can, just make sure there's a trash bag in it before you start throwing it.
Right, not just an empty trash
Savages.
can.
Follow signs. There's always going to be a sign. Usually it's a bright yellow sign.
Yeah.
It's going to tell you where you need to go. It's going to tell you where not to go. It's going to tell you where you shouldn't be and where where you're going to go next.
Yeah.
Read the damn map.
Yeah, don't think we don't see you walking past no food or drink with your cup of soup in your hand.
been totally
Trust
guilty
me,
of
that
that.
comes back. I am a deviant son of a
They'll
bitch.
never notice.
I may get you that day. I may get you 20 years from now, but I will get you.
Yeah, I will find you, and I will kill
We've
you.
got time to find special parking for everyone.
Right.
right.
Yeah, and then just park where we tell you, damn it.
Yeah.
And that's it's for usually
special.
we always have a reason for it. It's either to protect the location owner, or we know that the shot is going to be in this place,
Right.
So you can't park there. There are reasons. So
Yeah.
we're not trying to be mean.
Well,
We
this
are
is
sometimes.
Usually if we are, they
We're almost already into the first game, which actually, before we go into that first game, I gotta say a word from our sponsors. The Okie Show is brought to you by because when you don't have any real sponsors, just make some shit up.
Yeah, buddy.
I bought from
What's
that.
return on investment? I'll kick you a couple of bucks for this show.
Brought to you by, don't they make that Egg McGuffin?
I mean,
Yes,
to be
yeah,
fair,
the
I can't think of a more boring topic than locations. I mean, people it may hear us, but
And
they're
we can
like,
talk- I
screw
think it's
those
We
guys,
could,
man.
we could
Hell.
talk for 2 more hours.
Yeah.
This
I
could
love
be
it.
like Jon Stewart. Well, we could
The
throw
things
this
that
up on
we've
the web.
seen.
Well, we're still talking locations, but we're going to play a game called World's Worst. And basically, the way this works is that the first thing that pops in your head, you just say it. And so it's the World's Worst something.
Okay.
So this first one is World's
could get
Worst
myself in trouble
things.
here.
World's Worst things to say to locations.
I'm too tired. I haven't got enough sleep. I'm at my 14 hours.
Yeah, as opposed to y'all's like 22.
Yes. I pray for 14 to 18 hour days. I'm not kidding. If my paycheck says, my pay stub says 90 hours, I'm so happy. That's a good one.
That's all it is. Yeah.
We can just put a PA out here with a vest to be able to close this street down, right?
Oh God, yeah.
We can just this highway. We can just stop people, as we need
Give
them,
him
right?
3 points for that one.
Right. Yeah.
No food or drinks. Does coffee count?
Right. We don't have to ask permission. Let's just go ahead and do it.
No one's gonna get. Who's gonna know?
Who's gonna know?
How are they gonna tell?
Yeah, just go do it real quick.
Yeah.
Just go do
it real quick.
No.
You haven't been able to do anything real quick for 9 days.
All right. World's worst thing to do on a set.
Hold up production. You are the reason that you aren't filming for some reason.
Guilty.
No, that's it. Changing out batteries or something. That has to do with it. But if you're over playing on a YouTube video and I'm calling
Right,
for
yeah,
you,
yeah.
that's your fault.
Every single time that I do wind up wandering by set, as opposed to taking care of some other thing or putting out a fire, I will invariably have to cough. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's always
The moment I get behind
And
Video
action.
Village,
Yeah.
How about don't play the $1 million piano signed by Elton John?
Yes.
there's a story there.
Yeah, oh, there
we
it
had a
is.
line producer years ago that on a text out of a very nice home, very Tony home, but had very nice decorations in it and a piano in the grand entryway that was signed by Sir Elton John.
Right.
And this producer sat down and put their Starbucks on it.
Oh my God.
And then later,
while checking their phone to be able to make sure to do very important stuff in the
they paid $1 million at an auction for that.
Yes, they did. No, without a
And
doubt.
then we had another crew member during the shoot that went over and started playing it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just.
So don't play Elton John's
Guys.
piano.
Right.
Well, just
Don't be stupid.
Yeah.
Here's
Don't
my
be
advice.
yeah.
You're
Use
nobody,
common
kid.
sense.
Yeah.
You're nobody.
Right.
I'm nobody. You're nobody.
Okay.
each location manager has a sign kit that we
Yeah.
put signs on the fly. I have the thickest section in our shared collective sign kit is just a single piece of paper, but we've got 500 of them at a time that have very plainly in small letters, but you can't miss it, and it just says no. And we put them on everything. You've seen
I've
it.
seen it.
Yeah.
When we go to the Sonic Temple, it's just littered with
Most
no's
signs say
everywhere.
no. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then there's a smart ass that comes in and turns them upside down, so it says on.
On. Yeah, always. Okay, world's worst things to bring to the set.
Your significant other or your friend that has nothing to do with the movie.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
It's need to know only. It's a family. You don't get to be there.
Kids.
Yeah. Your kids.
Your kids, especially if they've never been to a set, it's nice, it's fun. My own daughter's come and visited me, but it's with warning and
That's it. Set visits are different.
set
You know,
visits are different, but
But
just
why
in
do you
general.
get a set visit? You're somebody important. Whereas like a cop that I'm paying to be on ITC
or like an
brings his
extra?
girlfriend or an extra.
Yeah.
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 Now I'm going to take a different tack. Your novel that you're in the middle of, because there's always something to do. You don't have time, guys.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of PAs
Yes.
kicking over in the back reading.
Yeah.
Wrong way to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're not working, it's because you're not good at your job.
Right.
Yep.
My favorite is the random just like walker on the street who's got a great script idea.
Oh man. Yes. Yes.
We've got a special file of those too. You'll make sure your director, who happens to be famous, gets this right.
And that's it.
Absolutely. I'm
I'm not going to waste any time, but that's another thing about locations. We are the buffer to that. Like,
Oh, you guys have to deal with
I
that.
need an
Oh, yeah.
assistant.
Oh,
You
yeah.
see somebody walking up, people are like, dude, guys coming up, go intercept them. So you got to sit there. And I enjoy talking to people. I love talking to people.
Yeah.
But that is our job. And
I never thought of that. That
It's-
you
it's
guys have
horrible.
to deal with
We're the
all those
bouncer,
people.
and
Meanwhile, you got a DP trying to get a door unlocked 2 blocks away, and it's
that we never looked at or talked about or anything like that. And
All right, we're gonna move on to a for real game.
wait. Did I win? Who?
Yes.
Oh,
No,
okay.
we all won.
Oh, okay.
We all won.
We're all
I
winners,
felt
guys.
like we
I
did.
love each and
Yes,
every one.
Everyone
God bless
wins.
us.
This is America.
Yes.
Everyone wins. So this is a game called Gibberish Expert, and the way this works is that SP is from the foreign island of Dingleberry, and he's accompanied by his translator, Ty.
Sweet.
Yeah. So SP is the expert in lawn massages, being interviewed on the news.
So
by
Casey is the reporter speaking
Yes.
English.
Yes.
I am the middleman translating Dingleberryan back and forth.
So this is Gibberish Expert in 3, 2, 1.
So, Sir Dinglebert, you, I hear, are an expert in lawn massages. Can you just tell us a little bit about
lawn
what your business is like and how did you get started in this?
What am I getting blues about that poo poo money? It started off when I was a kid, and my uncle taught me how to do lawn massages.
So lawn massaging. Tell me about the process. How do you massage a lawn?
It's pretty much just rubbing people while they lay down on the grass,
Oh, see, I thought you actually
like my uncle used to do to me when I was a child. Hey, I'm just translating, folks.
So, are you using the people to massage the grass? Is that the process?
People take the grass on people. Yeah.
Sorry, what was that?
It's the actual massaging of the grass with human bodies.
So, is there does their clothing play a part in this, or is nude massages.
He doesn't even need translation there. He says no. The clothing gets in the way. It's the essential oils of the body and the body hair that really reacts with the grass and the. Well, it depends. This is all. You guys can't see this. These are all hand motions, folks. But what he's saying is that grass responds to certain type of allergens within the skin and the hair products, and so certain types of people are better for certain types of grass.
Wow, fascinating.
Super bacon eating. You don't know the half of it, buddy.
Now, do you massage your own lawn at home?
That's not your business, but let's just say my lawn massages me.
Yes. And that was gibberish, expert.
Any resemblance to any
I'm a little
dialect?
rusty on my Dillbarian,
You
but
certainly want to offend anyone that we may have.
it's really unfortunate that you could not see SP portraying that.
Yes. Oh, that was great. Well, tell everybody where we can find you on social media and.
Oh man, you can't. You get in touch with me through SP and Casey. No.
My Facebook is SP
Facebook.
Eaton, Twitter @SP Eaton EATON, Instagram or Facebook. You can email me.
I think it's safe to say you can pretty much catch Casey at any coffee shop at any time from the hours of 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. It seems like.
I go occasionally.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I'm pretty much online either under Crowdis or Quiet Site.
Quiet Site.
Yes.
And then you guys are all three on the Oklahoma Film and Music Database as well.
That is, yes.
Yeah.
We're on the.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the show and
Thank you,
having
brother.
fun with me
I
and
appreciate
just
it's
chilling.
good stuff.
This is
So,
fun.
and you guys can find the Oki Show Show online on Twitter at Oki Show Show, Instagram at Oki Show Show, and then of course on the Facebook page and on prairiedogpictures.com/blog. If you have an event, an announcement, anything you'd like me to say that's just weird and off the wall in the intro, be sure to message me on Facebook or email me at brian@prairiedogpictures.com, and I will probably do it on the intro.
Sir, support Oklahoma film people. Keep it in the state.
Bam. That's a perfect way to end this show. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Enjoy your burrito.
See y'all next week. Enjoy your burrito. Yeah. I know, everybody all together. Enjoy your burrito.
Oki Show. The Oki Show is a mostly harmless media podcast recorded at Tower Studios in Oklahoma City. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. If you're a business or industry professional that would like to advertise on the podcast, email info@okishowshow.com. Rates starting as low as $25.